Hi. Testing. I think we're recording. Okay. As we jump right into this episode, I want to give you an analogy that we're going to go off of today. So, here it is. I want you to think of your mind as a garden. Okay, it's spring right now. Everything's in bloom where I live. So this analogy is perfect. Excuse me. Imagine your mind is like a garden. Okay, all of your negative thoughts in any form that they come, complaints, frustrations, anger, grief, all of your negative thoughts are essentially the weeds of your garden. Now, the weeds will always try to grow. The weeds will always try to push their way into your garden. And if not tended to regularly, the weeds will overtake your garden. And what I love about this analogy is that it alludes to this idea of consistency and practice and continual awareness of your garden. And I'll be honest, I think I've lost this a little bit in recent weeks, months, maybe weeks. I wouldn't say months, but in recent weeks, I've kind of lost this idea of consistently taking care of my mind or consistently taking care of my garden. And the main idea of today is the idea that there is nothing missing from your life. No matter where you are in your life right now, no matter what you may believe is missing or something that you're really trying to manifest and it's not happening, or there's just one thing that you feel is really missing, I'm here to tell you that there's nothing missing from your life. And if you choose to shift your perspective, if you choose to sink into gratitude, if you choose to tend to the weeds, you can have everything that you want in your life because you already have it. And I'm excited to chat with you today because I haven't been consistent in the podcast this year. 2025 has been a big year of change so far for me, and a lot of good ways. A lot of good things have happened, and I'm feeling positive, but I realized that I've kind of gone through this cycle where I've had I'll have one really, really good, positive, in the zone day where I just feel like I'm on top of the world and I'm like, yes, everything is happening for me. Everything I want is on its way to me. Nothing is missing, and I really sink into that feeling. And then I kind of lose it the next day, and I'm feeling okay, I'm expecting that it's going to show up instantly. And again, with this analogy of the weeds, it's you have to tend to your garden regularly. You have to show up consistently. And for me, it looks okay, instead of having a day where I'm up here and I'm yes, and then a day where I'm down here, it's well, what if we find this level of consistency? And I've been thinking about what's that going to take for me? And when I was feeling very consistent in my life, in terms of my garden feeling taken care of, well maintained, what did that look like? And I realized it was the daily habits. I was doing all these things every single day and being really consistent, and all of those things made for a beautiful garden that is my mind. So I want to talk about that today because I think it's important to recognize that spirituality or presence or any sort of conscious awakening, it's not a destination. It's not something that just happens and suddenly you never need to work on it. And much like anything in life, it takes consistency and it takes practice. And I think this is something I need to remind myself today too, is that you have to show up and do the things that make you feel your best. And again, that could be different for you than me, than the next person, than your neighbor, than your mom. And it's finding the things that bring you joy and that tend to the weeds in your garden. So that's kind of the goal today. I hope that's making sense so far. I haven't recorded in a while, and I don't have many notes today, so I hope you're with me. So we've talked about the analogy. We've talked a little bit about consistency, but let's dig into the idea that there's nothing missing from your life. Again, if there's something that you really want, if you are thinking about it from a place of lack, that it's just something that you don't have yet, then that's what it will be to you. It will be this thing that is missing. But when I say that there's nothing missing in your life, I say that because it's all in your perspective. Perspective is everything. If you change the way you look at your situation, and you have control over that, you can control how you see your situation. You can control how you show up in the world. You can control what you think about the things that are happening in your life. And so when I say there's nothing missing in your life, it is an active choice to believe that there's nothing missing. And how do we do that? Well, first of all, we go back to gratitude. If you can sink in gratitude every day, express 3 things that you're grateful for, 3 good things about the day, you are training your mind to think more positively. You are training yourself to start to see the good in every day. And over time, that compounds and it becomes more natural and it becomes this thing that's so easy for you. And if you can sink in gratitude and be grateful for everything that you do have, everything that you don't have, or all the things that are missing, they melt to the background. They're not as important anymore. And it doesn't mean that we don't still want those things, but we're no longer focusing on them or looking at them from a place of, why don't I have this? This is what I want. This is what's going to make me the most happy. Why don't I have it? Right? Because again, when we're thinking about it from that way, you're thinking about it in a way of lack. And you're not looking at it in the right way. And this is kind of a basic principle of manifestation. Some people think that manifesting is like, okay, I'm going to sit in the morning and I'm going to think about the thing I want and I'm going to feel it in my body and I'm going to be so excited and feel all the love in my heart. And then it's going to come to me. And then I do that every morning and then that's it. But like manifestation is ongoing. So if you take those 5 minutes in the morning where you're thinking about the thing you want and you're trying to feel it in your body and you're trying to feel it in a positive way, but then the rest of your day you're spent complaining and negative and frustrated and, annoyed that it hasn't shown up yet, that is also manifestation, right? Manifestation is this ongoing practice. It's how you show up consistently that creates your reality. So in order to have nothing missing from your life, you need to focus on what you have, what is good in your life, believe it before you see it, and you will notice that the things start to naturally come to you. And I'm saying this from a place right now where I need to get back into being more consistent. And so I think this is an interesting place to be in right now where, it's easy when you feel on top of the world or you feel super consistent or you feel like you finally figured it out. It's easy for me to sit here and tell you like, yeah, these are all the things and life is so good and blah, blah, blah. And it's like being on the other side where now I see, well, whoa, when I'm not consistent, the weeds are back. If I'm not consistent in tending my garden, the garden of my mind, the weeds come back. And they keep growing if not tended to. And so, in my quest to be really present this year, which I mentioned in January, I'm defining success this year as my ability to stay present. And I have noticed that I've struggled to stay present sometimes. And it's always the times where I'm thinking about something from a place of lack that I'm the least present, right? Because I'm not focused on now, I'm not focused on what's around me, I'm focused on what I want and what I don't have. But again, that's perspective. And I think when you really truly believe, like the things that I want are on the way to me, and then you detach from it and you're allowing yourself to kind of, you put your intention into the world and then you detach and then you focus on present moment. And always working towards, okay, what can I do right now to help me? Sorry, my computer screen just went dark and I wanted to make sure we're still recording. I think I had finished my thought. Not really sure. So, going back to this idea of perspective, I can't emphasize enough that you get to choose where you put your energy. You get to choose where you put your focus every single day. Like, throughout the day, are you often judging other people? Are you looking at people from an outside lens and thinking that they have everything that you don't have? You know, sometimes I will see a couple walking down the street and they look so happy, and I'll just sit and notice them and I'm like, wow, that would be nice. But it's like, I don't even know them. And instead of choosing to look at this happy couple and think, oh, I don't have that, why don't I think of it as, wow, they represent love and real love exists in the world. You know what I mean? Like, that might sound like a silly example, but I think when we judge others and put them as put it in a category of them versus us, it's really isolating. And again, that's me choosing to allow the weeds to grow. It's me choosing to be negative about, oh, I don't have that. And that doesn't put you in a position to attract the thing that you want when you are looking at it negatively. And I think this is so important for perspective, right? Like, again, are you judging others? Are you looking at them and comparing yourself? Are you choosing to think about all the things you don't have rather than thinking about what you do have? Are you choosing to put your energy towards people that don't make you feel good in your life, right? You also get to choose who you surround yourself with, who you allow into your space, who you give your energy to. You get to choose where you spend your money. You get to choose what you do with your time, how you take care of your body, how you take care of your mind. All of these things are choices. And I think even it's empowering to start recognizing that it's a choice, that a lot of these things we do have control over. You know, we don't have control over the circumstances always of our lives. We don't have control over, you know, situations that are going to just come up, but we always have control over where we put our energy, who gets to share our life. We get to control the way we think about things and the way that we show up. And I think showing up consistently is what's going to tend to your garden, and ultimately get rid of those weeds. So when I think about consistency, I always like to suggest micro habits. What is one thing you can start doing this week? And just say, all I want to do is change this one thing for this week, and then maybe I'll add a second thing. So I think a great place to start is to sink in gratitude. Gratitude is so good for you every day before you go to bed, or at some point in your day. Again, this is just what I do, but every single day I try to write down 3 good things about the day. And when I say every day, I mean sometimes every day. Have I been consistent? No. And this is partly why the weeds have been growing. I will write down 3 good things that happened in a day. And no matter how the day went, no matter if it felt great or not great, whatever, I just focus on what are 3 good things. And when I do it consistently, I notice a difference in my life. And I think being, again, out of practice helps me emphasize this point even more, that it does help and it does make a difference. So sink yourself in gratitude. Another thing is living more presently. We're always taken out of the present moment by our thoughts. And you have the power to shift back to the present moment. I have a lot of videos on that. I would also suggest, as I always do, Eckhart Tolle. His teachings are so powerful. He talks all about presence. He embodies presence in just the way that he is. So I would definitely recommend checking out his videos on YouTube. And just being more aware of, what am I thinking about? Where is my energy going? Where are my thoughts going? Am I judging other people? Am I comparing myself to other people? Am I choosing to let the weeds grow? Or am I tending to my garden? So I think I want to leave you with that today. There's nothing missing from your life. I hope the point came across. Think about one thing that you can do to tend to your garden this week, and I hope to be back chatting with you very soon. Bye.